Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Comic Beyond. In this episode, we're going to be talking Star Wars Han Solo. It is a period of unrest in a galaxy opposed by the Empire. Brutally, there is a little hope for the change. Nevertheless, rebels have banded together to fight back against such corruption. While the rebellion grows in power, Imperials fight to crush any hope for overthrow with the Emperor's hand, full of opportunities for crime and endless. Han Solo has taken a step back from the rebel cause, returning his focus to what he does best, smuggling. Untrustworthy by nature, he's skeptical of any who crosses his path. Unfortunately for him, he cannot stay under the radar forever. So in this book, I'm pretty sure it takes place after A New Hope and maybe before Empire. I think that's where it fits in the timeline. But so the story goes, so there's a spy, not a spy, but there's like a traitor within the intelligence part of the Rebel Alliance, and they're selling secrets to the Empire. So Leia's devised a plan for some Rebel spies to use the Falcon, because she wants them to join a race, because within that race they want to use that as a cover in order to snuff out the traitor. Well, she hasn't told Han that she wants to use the Falcon. Well, he catches wind of that because some people try to take it from him, and they tell him that it was Leia who sent them. So of course it's Han, and nobody's going to fly the Falcon but him and Chewie. So he, hops in the ship and flies back to where Leia's at, and he confronts her. And this admiral, he doesn't really want Han taking this mission because he feels like he's just going to screw it up. But Leia's like, no, if anybody should do it, it probably should be Han. This is his world. These are the people that he's used to and the type of atmosphere he works in. So kind of reluctantly, Leia, tells Han, he's like, all right, you can take this mission, but it's very dangerous and a lot of people's lives are at stake. So the mission is, so there's this race and different, fastest ships and talented racers, and all these people join this race because it's one of the things that I guess that the Empire allows. It seems that way, but they occupy the planet that hosts the race. So once Han and Chewie get going, they enter the race and they're doing good, but they start butting heads with, of course, the other racers because it's Han and he's hot-headed and stuff like that. So they come across these other characters along the way, and then it kind of becomes like a whodunit in a way, because now they got like three characters that they're trying to figure out. Are they the traitor? Are they the informant? Who's good? Who's bad? All amongst trying to do this, keep their cover and do this race. So eventually, throughout the race, one of the informants that gets murdered. So now we're trying to figure out, well, who did that? Well, Han already has the suspicions. So they come to figure out who it is, and so they subdue the killer, the murderer. And Han's like, okay, I gotta finish this race. It's just something I gotta do. There's a character within the book, and she kind of, if you've seen the movies, Han goes from a money-carrying smuggler to a rebel hero who's fighting for a better cause. He's a space cowboy with heart of gold, pretty much. He just wants that. He becomes somebody that's reliable and who wants to help his friends. So I think what they're trying to do as far as this, because they have changed canon, a lot of the new stuff coming out is the new canon. The older material is just kind of out there as almost like what-if stories. But in this, I think what they're trying to do with Han, he meets this character. She's actually the one that puts on the race. Her family created it, and so she's like the last of her family, and this is supposed to be the last race that she flies in. Well, she kind of befriends Han. Not that he's trying to be friends with her, but she sees something in him out of all the other racers, and so she kind of confronts him, and she's like, you are the stars, and this is where, you're most happy. But you're not who you think you are. You think you're this, tough smuggler type space, cowboy who, nobody can touch him, and you don't need any friends or anything like that. But there's a part of you that wants to be something better. So her kind of foreshadowing that, just like in the movies, Han's supposed to leave the code page job at the hut and get from under his debt and clear his bounty or whatever. Well, if you watch Empire, you realize Han didn't do that. He stuck with the rebels, which is why Boba Fett ultimately at the end of that movie takes him back to Jabba by Return of the Jedi. So this kind of foreshadows Han's decision, I guess, to stay with the rebels. So you have kind of like that backdrop going on within the story, because she's kind of been coaching him along, kind of being like a mentor in a way, or a good friend. So by the end of it, he has like all the contacts and the spies and stuff like that he was supposed to help rescue. And then he found the traitor. So they all go back to where Leia's at. Now, Leia's not too happy with Han because of the way he handled the mission. It was very reckless because he was, it's not really a situation you'd want to put Han in, but, you put him in a race, and so he's kind of cocky as it is, so he ends up wanting to finish the race. At the same time, he needs to get this information back to the rebels. So she wasn't too happy about that, and, but she's like, I knew you could do it. She's like, I kind of was nervous about it, but I had faith in you. So they share kind of like a touching moment in a way, for Han and Leia, kind of again foreshadowing what happens in Empire. So all in all, I liked it. I've actually read this story a couple times. I've actually found myself going back to it. And I think the reason is Han Solo is one of my favorite characters. I've always enjoyed Han. I've always enjoyed the reluctant heroes and stories. Those are the characters I kind of gravitate to. But Han was like the first character I ever saw like that. And of course you have other ones. They've been duplicating the Han type character in sci-fi kind of stuff for a while. Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly is almost like a Han Solo character. And he's one of my favorite, sci-fi characters. But yeah, so I think I keep going back to this because there's not a lot of Han Solo material out there as far as expanded universe stuff. You have the original 3-book trilogy of Han Solo's origin, and you have this. You have a couple, I think, one-shot comics from back in the day. I think they did a Solo tie-in comic, one-shot comic series, I think. So there's really not a lot of Han Solo stuff you can kind of go to, apart from movies and what little bit of material you have. So I think that's why I find myself going back to the story. The first time I read it, I wasn't too, it was kind of But then the last couple times, and then going back now and rereading it, I've actually enjoyed it a little bit more. It is what it is. It's not, but I like seeing Han and Chewie on their adventures. I'm actually currently going back and rereading the Han Solo trilogy, so I kind of want to cover that once all that stuff's done on this channel. But I enjoyed it. Anytime I can, have fun reading about this character, I do it. Hopefully down the road they'll do some more stuff, at least another mini-series, because this was like a 4 or 5-part mini-series. So, this came out a couple years ago. You can probably find it on Comixology, eBay, stuff like that. They do have it in hardcover, which I kind of want to get because I think they do throw in some of those one-shot comics within the hardcover. And if they do have some cool stuff like that, that's, other Han Solo stuff I could cover one day. But I enjoyed it. It's a good story. It's pretty solid. It's open and closed. You don't have to, go and buy other books to finish it or anything like that. It's all one self-contained story. And like I said, timeline-wise, it takes place after A New Hope, maybe a couple months before Empire. So it was good. I enjoyed it. If you like Star Wars, this is definitely a good Star Wars book to check out because you don't need to know much. You just need to know who Han Solo is. If you know that, then you're good. But yeah, it's an easy jumping in point, especially if you want to get into Star Wars comics and check those kind of things out. So hopefully down the road we can do some more Star Wars stuff. I can't believe it took me this long because I love Star Wars. That was one of my things growing up. And yeah, that's this episode. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope I gave you, some breadcrumbs to want you to kind of seek this out and check it out for yourself. I love some stuff out. Again, I don't like giving the whole story away. I just want to tell you just enough to get you interested so you can check it out. But I tell you all the fun parts. Alright, well that's this episode. Until next time, I'll talk to you later.